Welcome to the Brilliant Black Man Show, created to bring to light the success stories of black men all around the world. It is the mission and goal of Melissa Johnson to share these incredible, talented, and successful men with viewers across the country. Wake up, America, and listen to the interviews of these strong black men who are making a difference in their family, community, boardroom, and the world. They are building empires and leaving a legacy. Their life story and success matters, and it's Melissa's goal to change the narrative of how the black man is portrayed in the media, streets, home, workplace, and beyond. Join Melissa on a journey to bring awareness to the brilliance of the black man. Follow the interviews as these men speak on the importance of entrepreneurship, education, financial literacy, legacy building, and building black businesses within their communities. Now, here is your host. Thanks for tuning.
Hello, and welcome to the Brilliant Black Man Show with Melissa Johnson. And the one and only, introducing Mr. Jason Brown to the Brilliant Black Man Show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So glad to have you. So glad we finally arrived to this spot where I can find out a little bit more about you and share you with the audience. I am excited. I'm so excited. And so I've created this show to highlight the successes of our Black men. So many times and oftentimes we see our Black men in a negative light. Oftentimes the stories is not positive. Oftentimes they are just criticized and not built up for the brilliant men that they are. So I wanted to change the narrative and how we view our Black men in America. And that's why I created this show, the Brilliant Black Man Show, to bring to life, to bring to light their successes and let you know that they're doing some phenomenal things in our world today, and they're making a difference, and they're leaving a footprint that will last from generation to generation. So, America, this is our brilliant Black men, and I would like to present today one of those men, Jason Brown.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. And so we're going to get started, and it's so much I want to talk to Jason about, but let's talk about cultivating the man. How was this man cultivated? He's such a gentleman. He's such a brilliant man, but he has class that you don't often see every day. He has a sense of excellence about himself, and he's well groomed. And so I want to know how this type of man is cultivated. So let's go back to his humble beginnings and see where it started. So Jason, tell us a little bit about where you were born and tell us a little bit about your family background.
Okay. Well, technically I was born in West Virginia. But I grew up in Durham, North Carolina. Really simple upbringing. Dad worked at the VA hospital. He was a phlebotomist. And my mother actually was a bank teller for most of my time growing up. What else you want to know about?
Do you have any siblings?
Yes. So it's brother, sister, and me.
Okay, so you're the youngest of the three. So you had mom and dad in the home with you.
Correct.
What I want to hear from both sides, because I think mothers and fathers do a great job in raising strong Black men. So what did your mom instill in you that helped to mold you into the man that you are today and the character that you have today? Can you think of one thing that she did?
I would say, because she actually told me that it was intentional the way she did this, that I know how to entertain myself when I want to be by myself, but I also know how to be around people too. So I think that's a good balance. If I'm by myself, I don't feel like I'm lonely. You know, I can be just as satisfied, just me in a book, or just watching a sports game by myself. Or I can be in a room full of people. So yeah, she raised me to be able to do both.
So she gave you a sense of security in knowing who you were or who you are and being okay with who you are.
I think she gave me, I think she kind of introduced me to crowds early.
Okay.
And just like through your church and, you know, running track when I was a kid and playing different team sports. And so that helps, having to play in front of adults, whether you're playing soccer or basketball or whatever have you. So being in front of adults, that does help you later on because you're kind of used to it, especially if you're playing sports because you have to perform while you're in front of them. You know, so that helped. I think the times by myself, that helped me in a sense of allowing my imagination to flourish and grow. Because I was a very artistic child. That was one of my majors in college was art, concentration graphic design. So yeah, I would say that it gave me that intimacy with myself and in that space to draw, be creative, read, you know, investigate, you know,
and know who you are and be okay with that. I think that's I think that has a lot to do with what she gave you. What about your dad?
My dad, you know, later on I saw how his influence kind of rubbed off on me. First of all, he went to college and graduated Virginia State, so go Trojans. So that set the standard, just the fact that he went to college.
Absolutely, right.
I think of my dad, my mind works in a way that complements the type of thought process for science, the type of thought process for apologetics, studying theology and things like that. And my dad was always into science. Like he loved National Geographic.
Okay.
So even to this day, I can sit down and watch National Geographic. You know, so yeah, I think by default, yeah, just being around him by osmosis, I kind of developed a particular way in which to think through and process information and you know really be interested or at least aware about nature, you know, lions, tigers, bears, all this.
And then that took you to wanting to know the creator of nature. Is that why you study theology?
That came just from being in church every day.
Oh, okay. No science to that, huh?
No. And my mom's side is just nothing but bishops and pastors and missionaries. So like a whole tribe of Levi on them.
Okay, so you grew up in the church. You're a church boy.
Yeah.
You're a church boy. Yeah, I'm a church girl. It's okay.
Yeah.
And my love is theology, so we have something in common.
Okay.
Common ground. Yeah, I actually majored in theology. So,
really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I have my master's in it. So we have commonality with theology. So listen, let's go back a couple of steps, okay? Because when I introduced Jason Brown, I didn't tell you who he was. So let's go back a little bit, okay? And let's tell you about this man called Jason Brown. He is a real estate broker, creator of The Table, leader of the mixed group French and Investor Meetup. He'll tell us a little bit about that. The visionary over THT Online Apparel Store, and the CEO and founder of Jason Brown Realty and Property Management.
Right.
That's Jason Brown, y'all. And he is on the Brilliant Black Man Show. So, Jason, let's talk a little bit about fatherhood.
Okay.
You have one daughter.
Right.
How old is your daughter?
18.
Yeah. Oh, is she?
Yep.
Okay, so you have an old. Okay, for some reason I thought you had a small child. No. Okay.
18.
Okay. And what lessons were you strategic about implementing in her life. It's a young woman, so it's different in raising a young man and raising a young woman. What did you want her to learn as being her father and raising a queen? What did you want to instill in her?
I guess one of the things that I tried to instill in her was not to sweat the small stuff.
Okay.
You know, I'm a little different than my parents were.
Okay. In what way?
If you make a C in math, it's all right.
Okay. But you couldn't make a C in math. You had to make an A.
Yeah, I mean, they gave you a little leniency, especially if they saw that you were struggling, but they wanted a B, right?
Okay.
You know, at a minimum, you got to make B's because C is whatever. I didn't really stress it like that. With her, I'm different from her mom. Her mom and I never married or anything like that, but I was like, express yourself. So she was like, Dad, I think I want to get my nose pierced. I'm like, go for it. Dad, I think I want to lock my hair because I had locks at one point. I think I want to lock my hair. Okay. Like that didn't matter to me.
Okay.
What mattered to me was love your God, obey your parents, and make sure that what you're doing is morally, biblically in line, morally justifiable, or in line, I should say, on an ethic standpoint, justifiable, and then just do the best you can and go for it. I took her around in real estate because I tried to give her, plant that entrepreneurial bug in her. You know, so when I'm having, because I used to list the foreclosures back when they were really popular and big back in 2008. Yeah, 2008. And then I got with a new firm in 2011. And that's when I started listing the hub. So anyway, I had to go and do inspections to each one of these properties every week. So I started taking her with me.
Okay. That's awesome.
And then I gave her a little task to do. And then for each house, I would give her some money. You know?
Yeah.
Try to teach her how to earn your keep.
Earn your keep.
Things like that.
That's awesome. Well, we have that in common as well, Jason. I was in the industry as well for probably about 11 or 12 years.
Oh, you were in real estate?
Out of college. Yeah, I had my own mortgage company for 12,
okay.
little over 10 years, but I was in the industry for about maybe 12 or 13 years right out of college. So that's still in my blood. So I will get back to it, but I got it on hold for right now. Yeah. So we got a lot in common. A lot in common. Great lessons. Great lessons to teach your daughter. Were you in her life? I know you and her mother was not.
Since she was in the room.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Yeah. I think children need both parents. I think God gave them both parents for a reason. Yeah. You know. Yeah. I have a son, but I can't teach my son how to be a man, you know? And so his dad had to teach him how to be a man, but I had to instill other qualities in him. You can't teach her how to be a woman, but you can instill other qualities in her. And I think that's awesome. And not only that, she knows how a man should treat a woman.
Now that I did do, you know, opening the doors. I think initially, not everyone's situation is the same, but just across the board, initially it's a little easier it's easy and it's hard for fathers to be fathers of daughters. On the one hand, it's easier because you just got to be daddy. Hug them, tell them how beautiful they are, and just love on them. That's easy. The hard part gets as they begin to develop and the boys get to looking at them and all that kind of stuff. And you want to, you know, protect, whatever, you know. But yeah, I think I tell guys all the time that if you have a girl, you better watch out because she's going to become the woman, the lady, the female, whatever you want to call it. She's going to become that in your life. She's going to become that in your life. So it's great because it's love, but it can also be it can drive you to do some crazy stuff. Oh yeah.
Well, I think we may have to table that crazy stuff to the next interview.
Anybody hurt your baby girl, or they talking about your baby girl,
I know.
or they're trying to do something, you know, you get to go into
I understand. I definitely understand. Okay, so we're going to shift gears a little bit because we have so much to talk about.
Okay.
I definitely wanted to talk about your upbringing and where this major character comes from. And you had two strong parents that instilled values in you that you walk out today. But not only that, it seemed like you had a village of people. You had the church and probably other communities because you played sports and all of that. That also played an important part in who you are today. He has major character, guys, major character. And I didn't just realize that today in front of this camera. I realized as I prepared this interview, this is my first time meeting him face to face. But as I prepared this interview, I went to everything I could go to that was published to see what type of man this was. And he is a man of excellence. He's a man of excellence. Forget that he's a black man. He is a man of excellent and major character. And that is worth talking about as we relate to a brilliant black man. You have to have major character as a brilliant black man. Your character is so important. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how far you go. If you don't have character, you will come tumbling down. So it's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on your platform.
It's a pleasure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the career of this great man. Let's talk a little bit about Jason Brown. He has been a realtor for 13 years now. I want to talk about you a broker.
Correct.
So
broker in charge.
Okay, so we're going to have him back up and explain all of that. But one thing I do know is that there is a difference in a broker and an agent. There's a difference. And so the agent is who works for the broker. He's not working for a broker. He is the broker. So you own your own company, correct?
Correct. So
okay, explain it to us.
When you first get your license, you're a provisional agent.
Okay.
And then you have to take your 3 post-licensing classes. For the 3 post-licensing classes, then you get the designation of broker.
Okay.
So an agent can be a broker. What I am is a broker in charge, which means that I have been full-time for such amount of time, and I've acquired those hours. Then I go and take the class to become a broker in charge, and now you can open up your own firm.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit because it's been a minute since I've been in the industry, and I know they changed a whole lot of laws in 2008. So you're saying once you get your real estate license, is that correct?
You're a provisional agent.
Okay, and that means you can practice selling homes. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So what makes you a broker at that point? Because I thought in order to be a broker, you owned your own firm. No. Okay.
Yeah.
So explain that.
Sure. So once you take the class and you pass the class, then you take your national exam.
Okay.
Once you pass that, you actually have to connect with the firm, and then they activate your license. At that point, you are a provisional broker, what we call PB.
Okay. Right. Okay. But you're still working for someone.
Correct.
Under someone license.
You have to be under someone. Right.
Okay.
Right. You have to be under someone, and you have to be under someone and be full time for at least 2 years.
Okay. Okay. Before you can own your own.
Correct.
Firm.
So once you've done that, let's say you go work for ABC Realty.
Okay.
Right. And you with them for 2 years. During that 2 year time, they're giving you a little short amount of time now, but basically during that 2 year time, you take your 3 post-license classes.
Okay.
And you just, make sure you're attentive and show up on time. There's no major tests after those.
Okay.
Okay. So you're doing that through your 2 years. Then you say, you know what? I think I want to open up my own firm. So now you got to go back to school and take your class to become a broker in charge.
In charge. Okay. Right. So you in charge meaning you running it.
Exactly. You are the lead.
You are the lead
broker for that office.
For that office.
All the other agents fall under you.
Okay, so explain this to me because I got a little confused when I was studying for this interview. You have Jason Brown Realty,
Correct.
But then you have the Charlotte agent.
That's just branding. I've been known as the Charlotte agent. And when I initially started branding myself as an agent, when I was with the first firm that I got with, which was located in Matthews at the time, it was just a nice catchphrase, and I wanted to be known as the agent in Charlotte. So I came with the Charlotte agent.
Okay, so that's just your name, the Charlotte agent. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking that it has something to do with two separate companies or something.
Well,
so no.
Technically, the filing, the company is Jason Brown Realty.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it's think of it as you have Darden restaurants, but then within that corporation, you have Red Lobster, you have Olive Garden. I think you have Longhorn too. So think of it like that. Yeah.
So Jason Brown Realty, and then under the Charlotte agent, you're the Charlotte. Jason Brown is also Jason Brown Realty, but you're classified as the Charlotte agent.
The Charlotte agent.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. So let's talk about how you got into the business.
Okay.
I was looking at one of your videos, and in your videos, you spoke a little bit about your humble beginnings. I love people that are transparent. I'm a very transparent person, and I share my humble beginnings. When you're an entrepreneur, there is humble beginnings, unless you come from money. You have to work extremely hard to get into the business and to make money.
Yeah, correct.
When you first started, and I know with real estate, it's extremely challenging. When you got into the business, what was your humble beginnings, and how and what was it that kept you motivated to continue on towards your goal?
Let's see. Well, my humble beginnings was the first 2 years in real estate. I didn't sell anything. I was with the wrong firm. Nice guy, broker in charge, was a very nice guy. Christian, strong Christian. However, his firm was so heavily, because he was a firm of one person, just had his own firm, and he was the only agent like myself. So he branded that whole firm around him. So
I understand that.
You see what I'm saying?
So when the phone went wrong, they wanted to deal directly with him.
Not only that, but the branding. So the name of that firm, and I'll use a different name. Let's say it's Thomas Williams Realty.
Okay.
And that's fine because you have firms like a Keller Williams and things like that. But Keller and Williams are two separate people. You don't know what Keller Williams looks like. You don't know what Allen Tate looks like.
Right.
You don't know what the Founders Remax look like. I remember the first business card I had because he used his face in his branding. It was a business card with this middle-aged, halfway bald white man on my business card. And as I'm passing that out, they'd be like, "Oh, you're in real estate? Well, give me a card." And I give them the card, and then they look at it and they pop that like that. They're like, "Who is this?"
So you didn't have your own cards? No.
Well, I later took his face off, but I had to put, Thomas Williams or whatever I said, Realty and all that kind of stuff. But I'm Jason Brown.
Right.
So anyway, didn't sell for the first 2 years. And that's when, that was hard.
That was hard. So let me ask you this, because I know a lot of people getting into the real estate business, because when you get into the real estate business, you got to build up a clientele.
Correct. And you usually try to start with your circle of influence. And you don't make money the first time you take them out to show a house. It takes a minute. It takes a minute for them to find a house. That process could be a little lengthy. Let's just say it like that. It's a lengthy process. And so you have to have a lot of deals in the hopper, as we used to say. You want a lot of irons in the fire.
Right. Yeah. So when you were in your 2 years of trying to get into the business, did you have something on the side Or did you have another job that you were working?
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I was working at a prep school.
Mhm.
Let me say this. I started teaching French in Charlotte Mecklenburg Public School System in 2006.
Can you stop there for a second?
Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about your educational background.
Yeah.
So you went to UNC.
UNC Charlotte.
UNC Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you graduate from UNC Charlotte
Mm-hmm.
with what type of degree?
I had a double major.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bachelor's in French,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a BFA in graphic design.
Okay.
BFA in art, concentration graphic design.
Okay. So did you fall back on that when you were trying to get into the real estate industry?
No.
No. Okay. Tell us about it.
Okay. So it basically happened like this. I graduated with those 2 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in 2004. I began working as a bilingual service representative in a call center
Mm-hmm.
with the French. Then the opportunity came to start teaching in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So I started teaching in Charlotte Mecklenburg. I was a middle school French teacher for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
from 2006 to 2009. Now, during that time, I met, who's still a very good friend of mine today, who introduced me to real estate. He was a social worker and worked in that system and worked at the school.
Mm-hmm.
But he was doing real estate on the side. And during that
Okay.
time, real estate was popping off.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk outside, you trip over 5 buyers. And they were giving all these bonuses and incentives.
Okay.
So he told me, he said, Jason, I think you should think about real estate
Mm-hmm.
because this can fund some of the other dreams you have.
Dreams you have. Okay.
So I said, great. So I took the real estate class while I was teaching.
Okay.
And I believe I took that in either 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
2009 comes and they have huge layoffs in CMS.
Mm-hmm.
They get rid of the French program in a lot of the middle schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
The same moment that I got laid off is when I started to do the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2009.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing to make money? Well, I am having odd jobs. I took another job at a prep school, which paid me just pennies. It was horrible. And I was teaching like 5 different subjects.
Oh my.
It was crazy. Doing that in the morning, during the day, trying to do whatever in real estate I can, whether it's go to networking functions or build up my email database or whatever have you.
Mm-hmm.
And then at night, I was working 3rd shift at Target.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm.
And that was the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was just all hard. It was very hard. So then I ended up leaving that firm in 2011.
Then that was the Thomas, the one that you started out with. What was his name again? Oh, we not saying his name.
I
But the
use a
first
fictional
firm,
one.
yeah, that's right. The first firm you left. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. What I don't understand. You were with them 2 years and you never. I'm not connecting the dots there. Why couldn't you get one client? I don't understand that.
Because his firm wasn't set up to really, didn't have the systems in place so the agents can go there and thrive.
Okay.
His firm is set up is that if you're an experienced agent and you got 20 years in the game
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want someone looking over your shoulder, then you can go to his firm
Mm-hmm.
because you already have your contacts. You're already generating your own leads.
Mm-hmm.
You're already generating your own prospects.
Right.
For new agents, no.
Why did you stay for 2 years?
Because I was too allegiant. I had too much allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
Stick it out. It's coming. It takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then also his firm wasn't in line with the market
Mm-hmm.
because we had that boom, but then we had that crash.
We crashed. Mm-hmm.
So if you weren't listing foreclosures, if you didn't have the contracts with asset managers
That's
to
right.
list the foreclosures, the HUD homes, the short sales,
Short
then you were
sales, right.
missing out on a large percentage of the activity
Yeah.
because that's what was selling.
Selling. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't. The next firm next firm that I went to did.
So let me ask you this before you go to the next firm. When we go through things in life, there's a lesson to be learned.
Mhm.
What was the lesson that you took away from that experience, and how did it help you when you went to the next firm?
Don't be afraid to jump ship. I mean, you're not making any money here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the next firm
Mm-hmm.
you went to, how long were you there? At this time, you have your hours in now, or does it the hours? Does it just is it like just a time frame of 2 years, or do you have to sell so many units?
You don't have to. You talking about as far as
Far
becoming a
as
broker
yeah,
in charge?
yeah.
It's more like hours or years, but you're supposed to be full time.
Okay, so
So
it doesn't
technically-
matter if you're closing anything or not. Well, I guess
Yeah.
they assume if you're doing it full time, you're gonna be closing something.
They could care less. They just want to know if you getting the experience.
Experience.
Have you
Well,
been under another broker in charge?
Did you get any experience? You didn't close anything. Did you have any clients? How did you get the experience? You just watched?
I had a lot of rentals, which is no money.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
And the first firm that I was
that.
working with,
Yeah.
they took a commission split off the rental commission,
Mhm.
and the rental commission is only 10%, generally 10%
I
of 1
remember
month's
that.
worth of rent.
I remember that. That's
So,
right.
and back then, people were renting things, let's say, for $1,000,
Mhm.
and so I would make 100,
And
and
you
he
had-
would take 50% of that.
right.
So I make $50.
Dollars. I remember that era. I do.
Yeah.
And another thing, I was in Detroit at the time,
Okay.
and I was in the industry, and it was like the industry crashed that one day, right? And we had properties that we were working on
Mhm.
that we had appraisals on that appraised for just say $150,000.
Mhm.
The next day it was worth 70,000.
Mhm.
You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
You couldn't do any business.
Yeah.
So I know it was hard for real estate agents. It's like, what are you gonna do? The houses are not worth anything.
Yeah, yeah.
It was tough. It was tough. So I mean the thriving thing, like you said, and that resonated with me was the foreclosures, the short sales, and all of that.
Well,
That's
what made it tough, see, prior to the market falling, crashing,
Mhm.
you could be an agent and you could get a lot of activity quickly because they were just giving out loans. They were very weak loans. That's why the market crashed.
Mhm.
They even had a product called no doc loans.
Of course we did.
You
yes.
walked in with your ID,
That's right.
a phone bill, and a water bill for your address, and you walked out of there with a loan.
As long as you had the credit score.
So what made it difficult was
Mhm.
when the market hit bottom, a lot of people lost the overtime that they were allowed to count,
Mhm.
all the overtime they were working, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So they started losing their homes. Now that means you become a very listing heavy market.
Mhm.
In a time where the prices are dropping, you need to be
Mhm.
able to list it. They want to list it with an experienced agent, which I'm not, and a lot of agents aren't,
Mhm.
to get the most money they can.
Mhm.
So that made it hard because it becomes a market of listings, and which makes it a buyer market, but it's harder for people to get qualified
Mhm.
now because the guidelines for the lending are beginning to tighten up.
Right. Mhm.
So I think it was hard because also too the market was so saturated with a lot of agents.
Mhm.
That's kind of happened with graphic design. Coming into school, graphic design was cool. Coming out of school, anybody with a computer was calling them in Photoshop was calling themselves a graphic designer.
Mhm.
So the whole market was flooded with people who, from the novice to the experience. And the only thing that set you apart was your branding and your experience.
Mhm.
So when I came into real estate, everybody and their mama was in real estate.
Mhm.
So now it's so saturated,
Mhm.
and everyone now knows 3 or 4 different agents.
Mhm.
Their brother or sister may even be an agent now.
Mhm.
So yeah. Yeah.
So the next firm. So now
Next
you're at
firm.
the next firm. So
I
what
got
happened?
with them
Mhm.
in February of 2009.
Mhm.
No, excuse me, February of 2011.
Mhm.
Yeah, I started with the first firm from 2009 to 2011. February 2011, got with the second firm. They had contracts with asset managers. What are asset managers? Well, when people foreclose on homes that were able to purchase those with FHA loans. The government now has all these houses. So they hired they used 3 companies in North Carolina. It was Home Telos, Euphoria, and Pimco. Okay. Those were asset managers. Okay. Those companies had the duty of getting these homes that the government now has, because they had to buy them back, sold. Okay. These companies then reached out to brokerages to sign a contract, and you're going to be our listing broker. Okay. So when I got with the second firm, he was very gracious in allowing me to be a co-listing agent. Okay. Which allowed me to take credit for those foreclosures that were selling. Okay. I wasn't making much money on them, but it was more than what I was making before.
Right, because you wasn't making anything before.
Correct. and during this time, he did. Later, I told him, but he didn't even know that how much I was struggling. Like, I lost everything. Yeah, so it was crazy. But that same year, I closed on my first home.
So how do you lose it all and keep your dignity and climb back up and stand strong again? How do you do that? When you hit rock bottom, who's at the bottom that's sustaining you to help you to stand again?
Nobody. Nobody was there. Yeah.
So no person. What about your faith or was your faith there, or did you lose your faith as well? Can you remember that point when you hit rock bottom?
Did my faith
sustain you? Because you're here today.
I'd like to say yes, in a sense. No, there were people along the way. They weren't there with me at the bottom, but along the way, people would help. And just a little bit of help at crucial times allowed me to get by.
Okay. Yeah. Being a strong man with major integrity, what did that do to you? And what?
I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. You know, one day you're driving a Lexus, the next day you're walking. Kind of a thing.
So you basically lost everything. Okay. What lesson did you learn from that? What was instilled in you from that incident that happened in your life?
Manage your money better.
So do you think it was mismanagement of money? It had nothing to do with what was going on in the industry?
No, that too. But you need to manage your money better. Stop spending it on buying things you really don't need. Trying to impress people that really don't matter. So I would tell people that in the beginning, yes, you're going to have some side jobs or some side hustles, but that's part of it. But work hard, save that money, right? And you're going to it's going to feel like you're working 2 full-time jobs, but that's the beginning. Trying to date at that time was really shameful, embarrassing, because you couldn't let them in. You couldn't let them know how much you were struggling. You couldn't afford to do a lot. The church wasn't there for me.
Wow.
That was a result of them not developing the relationships prior to.
Okay. Now, did they know what you were going through and chose not to be there for you? Or were you...
they didn't know the full extent.
Because of being a man, sometimes it's hard in your manhood to go to someone and say, listen, I'm struggling. I need some help.
No. It
wasn't?
They didn't know by and large, no. One pastor, because at that time, one of the elders / ministers in that church, the pastor that we were over became superintendent. So he took over one of the smaller churches. So, and I played drums in my church. So I would play for the early morning service at the home base church. And then I would go to the smaller church and play there. And that pastor did help me with securing transportation.
Okay.
And I'll never forget it, because he didn't have to do it, but he did.
So what in you allowed you to be transparent and be vulnerable to let them know, listen, I'm in a rough spot. I need some help.
The relationship, the church was so small
Mm-hmm.
that he had taken over.
Mm-hmm.
It was only like, I mean, we met in a little small office room.
Mm-hmm.
And it was him, his wife, his daughter. He had another daughter that would come sometimes, but she lived out of town. And then you had maybe another 5, 6 people.
So it was more like a storefront church.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
I became very close.
Cultivated relationships, so
Correct.
we were closer.
And
Okay.
after, church, we would go out to eat together, things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's major,
Mm-hmm.
cultivating those relationships
Mm-hmm.
and the community is
Mm-hmm.
really important. And so you made it through it.
Yes.
You made it through it. So now we're on the other side. So you become broker. Tell us that.
Somewhat.
Okay. Fill us in. I'm listening.
Okay. So I got to my second firm in
Mm-hmm.
February of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I had my first sale
Mm-hmm.
in October of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had enough money when I sold that first home, I was actually homeless.
Mm-hmm. So when you say homeless, does that mean, because that can mean different things.
God provided shelter.
Okay.
But think of men living in a men's shelter.
Okay.
So technically they have shelter, but they are without home.
So you were in a shelter.
Well, I did. God helped me to not have to go to that extent. And even if I tried, I probably would not have gotten in because the shelters at that time were overrun. There are not many things in our society to help men.
Mm.
If you're a man and you're not producing, society doesn't take a lot of sympathy and empathy for you. There are a lot more services for women and battered women and women with children. Yeah. But anyway, so I had shelter, and that person was very inconsistent. And then I remember, and even then I had to take the bus and like walk a mile to his house. It was crazy. And then they became inconsistent because little did I know they were dealing with a substance abuse issue. Oh, my. So close on the house. Now I have enough money to. So
how did you get to close on a house without really having, a job and down payment and all of that? That first closing was lucrative enough.
For my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I closed on the house for my clients,
mm-hmm.
the lead came from my broker.
Mm-hmm.
And he was generating so many leads because he's listing.
So you had more than one closing before you closed on a home.
No, when I say my first closing, I mean for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first house I ever sold.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Not your closing.
No,
okay,
no,
okay,
mine.
okay,
No.
okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I had bought a house actually in 2007
mm-hmm.
when I was teaching,
mm-hmm.
and then lost that later.
Yeah.
So
most people listen in that era. A lot of people lost their homes. I was in Detroit, and it was devastating in Detroit. And you're talking about the urban area. Most people lost their homes.
They went down real quick.
Yeah, because first of all, the property values went down. Second of all, we put a lot of people in adjustable rate mortgages, and it was maturing. And guess what? They could not refinance out of that. Yeah. And so they end up losing their home. So a lot of people lost their
and their
homes.
income went down. And a lot of them,
And then a lot of them, they were on fixed incomes to begin with because they had been in their homes. We were in the city. Yeah. So in the city, you had more people that worked factory jobs and things like that. They were retired. And when they bought the house was only worth 40, 50,000. Yeah. And, we had this major increase in property values. And now the houses are worth $120,000.
So they overpaid. They were underwater.
So they took that equity out. We put them into an adjustable rate mortgage. We're going to refinance you and put you in a fixed mortgage, right? Why? Because we have to qualify you. Right, so we put them in that, have a lower payment. We have to qualify them for that. And so then what happens? Yeah. The market crashes.
It's just downhill from there.
And so when I tell you, so many people lost their homes. And then in Detroit, also the automobile industry.
Yeah.
You remember it crashed.
That was
so
really,
it was devastating in Michigan.
The government had to bail them out to an extent for a lot of
President Obama. Yeah. Thank God for him. He came and bailed out the automobile industry. Yes.
So when I sold when I had my first closing, let me say with clients.
With your clients.
That was in November of 2011. Then I had enough money to afford extended stay hotels. And all my stuff is in storage, and I have a daughter at this time, and it's kind of embarrassing bringing her, but she's so young. That's what I said with girls, just be daddy.
Be daddy.
You know. So the narrative at that time was daddy is relocating to another location. This is just a
temporary stay.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna have a little fun.
Yeah.
Listen, your kids just want you in their life.
Exactly.
They want you in your life, in their life.
But yeah, so 2012, I got my footing. And 2013, 14, and 15, I was a top selling agent.
Wow. So you had to work your behind off, right? Jason, it didn't come easy. Tell us about what it takes to go from being homeless to now becoming top producer to being the broker, owning the whole thing. That's major. Tell us, what does it take? What type of qualities does it take to do that?
I mean, you just got to be consistent. Got to be consistent in working. I would say a major portion of that was timing and being with the right firm. Because had I been with another firm, let's say we would have provided leads. When I was taking my daughter around and we had to do the weekly inspections, there were Sundays that I had to inspect 12, 15 homes. So on the MLS, I have 12, 15 listings. You see, that's generating activity for me.
Right. And it's putting your name out there, Jason.
Exactly. Brown, people see sold. But nonetheless, I would say you just have to be consistent.
And what do you mean by that? Because that word can take on different meanings. To be consistent means to do what? Not to what? Consistency.
Don't procrastinate.
And never, you have to be driven. I think driven is in that consistency. You have to have a drive, internal drive that would drive you to never give up, never go back, never, even when all of that was happening to you, you didn't go into a corner and, and cry and, and say, I'm just going to be this bum. You kept moving forward. You kept moving forward. Although it was very painful, you kept moving forward and you pulled yourself up. People helped you. You sought out help. People helped you. You pulled yourself back up and you kept being consistent. You kept moving forward. You kept being determined to succeed. I think all of that is in being consistent. That determination, that dedication, that drive, all of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say correct. But I'm not saying but I was all in, because to be successful in real estate, you couldn't do it part-time. Not at that point. You could before when the market was booming and they were just giving loans to anyone. At that point in time, you had to be full-time. So you couldn't teach in the morning, try to do real estate during the day, and then be working at night and be successful in real estate.
But you had a bigger goal anyway, right? You wanted to own your own. Did you want at that point? Did you want to be? Your aspiration wasn't okay. Came later.
Came a little later.
Okay.
It came a little later.
Okay. Yeah. That's a lesson right there, guys. You had to be driven. I mean, it's hard work being an entrepreneur. It's hard work, day and night.
Especially being in sales.
Absolutely. It's not easy.
When you're in real estate, you're in sales.
Yeah, it's not easy. So how did you become the broker? Tell us a little bit about that, and we got to move forward.
Yeah. Well, the broker that I was working with, who I consider my real estate dad, the second firm, he said he had big plans for me, and I believe his heart was in the right place and he was genuine. However, what I noticed was I was putting my forward movement on someone else's timeline, because I'm waiting on him to open up another office, and then I could be the broker in charge of that office or whatever. And what happened in 3 months turned into 6. What should happen in 6 months turned into a year. So after a while, I'm tired of waiting on you to make me successful or take me to the next level. I can do that myself. So on New Year's Eve of 2016, I had 3 closings,
Mm-hmm.
and I did very well
Mm-hmm.
financially.
Mm-hmm.
And the next month I was out
You are.
because I'd already taken my class and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when firms have various agents, they want their agents to get the broker in charge status. So should they ever need to switch broker in charge, or let's say the broker in charge needs to go out of town, there's another agent that they can send the paperwork in and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this person's broker in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be broker in charge, for a week or 2 or a month or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to have someone else who has that designation, so that should anything happen to that broker in charge,
Mm-hmm.
your firm doesn't go down.
Okay.
Because if you only have one broker in charge or one agent who can be a broker in charge,
Mm-hmm.
and something happens with that broker in charge to where they're out of commission,
Mm-hmm.
your whole firm has to shut down. Because without a broker in charge, you can't keep your doors open.
So do you have agents underneath you?
No.
Do you aspire to have? Do you aspire to grow it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Your mission is with a passion for service in Charlotte and the surrounding areas.
Mhm.
What makes your company unique and innovative?
Well, I say that we are innovative real estate with a heart for people.
And what does that mean?
That means we actually care about each one of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking in the plural
Mm-hmm.
fashion, but
Mhm.
yeah, we actually care about the people we service. We care about their quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great understanding of people. I have a great understanding of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I can build strategies for them buying or selling that's going to put them in a better position. And every single client
Mm-hmm.
will tell you. Some clients you have that are bad clients, you don't never want to talk to them again. That happens. Because I have about 3. But for the other
Every industry.
98, 99%,
Right. Mm-hmm.
every single client can tell you
Mm-hmm.
that Jason told me this was a good decision. He gave me the reasons why. He walked me through it. It was all educated, but he was right.
Why is that so key in especially real estate?
Because you have to know your craft.
Yeah.
If you don't know the trends of the market,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how to read in between the lines,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not seeing the things before they happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the best real estate agent for, let's say, if you're my client, is that I can see what's going to happen in the market
Mm-hmm.
before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I can better position you to capitalize
Mm-hmm.
on that market.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, there's a gentleman, one of my first major deals,
Mm-hmm.
and he really had to trust me because it was early on.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, I didn't have all the experience, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, you need to buy here. I said, give it 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now they ended up staying there long. They've been there
Mm-hmm.
10. That's
Mhm.
fine.
Mhm.
He hit me up last week
Mm-hmm.
and said, Jason, the wife and I were thinking about selling. They were actually at my table too. We were thinking about selling.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, actually, he texted me. He said, yeah, this other house in this neighborhood just sold for something, whatever.
Mhm.
So I won't give you the numbers on how much they bought
Mhm.
or how much they're selling for. But right now, they're sitting on $500,000 worth of equity.
Now, you know what? You said something, and that's what I wanted you to get to that point. When you take care of customers, they will do what? When you take care of them and educate them, they will do what? Especially in the real estate business.
They will thank you.
And they will do what else?
They will remember you.
And they will do what else?
I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
Let me add a little something to that.
Okay. Okay.
If you don't continue the relationship, they won't refer you.
And
That's what I had to learn.
Yeah. And guess what else? They may come back to you like that man coming back to you. They may come back to you and buy another home,
Right.
and then list the home that they're in.
And
Repeat business.
And some will.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I learned.
Mm-hmm.
They won't if you don't continue the relationship.
Mm. Now, how do you continue the relationship? Tell us.
Treat them like people. Invite them out.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the business is done,
Mm-hmm.
stay in contact with them.
Mhm.
Call them. Text them.
Mhm.
Invite them to, if you have kids, invite them to that birthday party. If
Mhm.
something's going on, you get an extra ticket to a Charlotte Hornets game.
So you're building that rapport relationship with them.
Mhm.
But you also do something else and it's you have this big lavish dinner at this big table, and
Correct.
you invite them out to the table. Tell us about the table.
So the table started initially as a dinner where I wanted to wine and dine my VIP clients and my strongest supporters.
Okay.
That's part of that relationship that you're continuing. Most people, most agents, after the deal is done, they don't continue on with saying thank you. So that was an evening at a very nice restaurant with very costly plates, and it was such my pleasure.
Yeah,
because
I put that footage on my Facebook page.
Okay.
So go to my Facebook page. You'll see a little clip of that.
Yeah.
The table.
And I told them in my toast that so many people take from us or use us, but don't say thank you. So I pay for everything except for alcohol because I don't want that on my business. So I didn't pay for no alcohol. But
that was major.
It was definitely major because
that was a major give back.
I had a good handful of influential people in that room.
Okay.
Who do major events and are part of major organizations. And it's so interesting. Out of all the people they know, very few people ever say, you know what? Thank you for helping me.
Yeah. I've never seen that.
Let me treat you to dinner.
Yeah. I've never seen that, Jason. I've never seen that.
And that's what everyone was saying. They've never seen that.
I've never seen that.
And that led to me doing the second one.
Don't say that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I first saw that, it just resonated with my heart. I was just like, oh my God, this is just awesome. I mean, just to have all of these beautiful people sitting around a table. The table is just, I mean, it's historical. You just go back to the days when we grew up. When we grew up, we sat around a table. And that was our time when we ate, fellowship, and we talked, right? So it reminded me of that. But not only that, it was like, okay, I finally reached the table and now my voice can be heard. You know, I have a seat at the table, and my mind was just going so many places when I saw that. It was just beautiful. And not only that, you were able to network with other people. And then not only that, you were able to see people that look like you, that's doing well as well. They're doing good in their industry.
Correct.
It was just so many dynamics that was going on at that table. I thought that was just the best ideal ever. I applaud you for that. That was great. I applaud you for that. And you didn't stop there with your clients. You continued on, and you had another event called.
Well, the table event, I had it, and I kind of gave it that. I started putting pictures out and videos of it, and I knew where I kind of wanted to take this idea, but it was all about my clients initially, my VIP clients and supporters. So. But when the photos came out and the video came out, people went crazy. It was like, when's the next one?
When's the next? I said it.
So I had to turn around and create a website very quickly and et cetera, et cetera. So that's when the table became the table.
Public now. It's public.
Exactly.
Now, is it for anyone? Anyone can participate in the table?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It's a vetted group.
Okay.
So it's about who you know.
Okay.
To be able to get in.
Okay.
And those that subscribe to our database, they do get first dibs, but that's one of the things that I have put in place in the culture of the table is that everyone there is vetted.
Okay.
So you're sitting with people who are supposed to be there.
Okay, so I know we have to wrap this up. We're out of time.
You're good. I can buy us a little more time.
The table is, I love that. I mean, I just love that concept. So we're not going to talk anymore about the table, but what I want my viewers to know is how can they reach out to you if they are looking to list a property, if they are looking to buy a property, their residential home, or if they're looking to buy investment property, real estate. Do you do commercial?
No,
real
I
estate?
haven't really,
Not
I
yet.
haven't really
Not
jumped
yet.
in commercial
Not
yet.
yet. He's not in it yet.
Mhm.
He's gonna be big though. So, how can they get in contact with you, Jason?
The best way to contact me is actually just through social media.
Okay, give us your website address.
Sure.
Mhm.
So on Facebook, it's Jason Brown, or you can go to my business page, which is the Charlotte Agent.
Mhm.
Instagram is the Charlotte Agent.
Mhm.
My phone number 704-907-1540.
Business only.
Yep, business only.
Business
Exactly.
only.
Business only.
Do you have a website for
Yeah,
your
I do.
company? Give us that website address.
TheCharlotteAgent.com.
That's CharlotteAgent.com.
Yeah.
Listen.
But so much of my communication happens on social media.
Social media. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got some old schoolers. They don't know
Yeah.
about social media. So go to the website.
Or email me.
Or email
Or you
them.
can email
Okay.
me, text me, email
Text
me
them.
at jason@thecharlotteagent.com.
Everything Jason Brown, CharlotteAgent.com.
You'll find him.
You will find him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's an up and coming brother and worth talking about his success. I hope that you got some nuggets out of what we talked about today. I wanted to talk about some more stuff. We just ran out of time. Listen, he is.
You have a little time.
I have a little time.
Yeah,
Okay. So I want to go back. Talk about this mixer meetup leader. You're into that. What is that?
For which one?
The mixer, you're a leader over French mixer.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, those areas.
Yeah, that's through the platform Meetup.
What is that?
Well, basically, we just have events where we come out to practice our French.
So
and
it's a group
French.
of people,
correct,
that you've created. You created this community?
Well, no, it's meetup.com,
Mhm.
and there you can find very niche interests. So there's a group if you like Italian food.
Okay.
And you can join that group,
Mhm.
and whoever's the leader in that group or whatever, they probably, say, hey, meet us at this restaurant.
Mhm.
There are groups in there for wine lovers, singles groups, those who love thrift shopping.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
So it's that
okay.
kind of thing.
Okay.
So I became the administrator over a group of French speakers and those who love to
Now,
speak French.
where did your love for French come from?
Started it in middle school with Madame Stomp.
Mhm.
And then continued to high school where I took 3 years of French and actually went to France. And then in college, I initially minored in French, but then I went back to France and studied for half a year.
Mm.
And when I came back, I was only 3 classes away from a major.
Mhm.
So I ended up declaring French as a second major. And I ended up being a French teacher, as I said before.
That's
middle
awesome,
school.
Jason.
Yeah.
That's unique for a Black brother. That's pretty good.
Yeah. No one ever.
Yeah,
No
most of
one
it is
ever believes
Spanish.
me that I
Yeah,
speak
yes,
French.
French. I know most of the time it's
Yeah.
Spanish. Let's talk about this bodybuilder. You can't see him because he's sitting down, y'all,
Mhm.
but he's built pretty good. Tell us about the bodybuilding. Your love for that.
I got into it because I've always been into fashion, and then I started noticing how a lot of the guys in the fashion field are either former bodybuilders or they train like bodybuilders.
Why is that?
Well, your clothes lay a lot better.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. They
Your
like
clothes
to
lay a
flex
lot
those
better.
muscles.
You as a model, you're definitely a lot more versatile and things like
Do
that.
you do a little modeling as well?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But everyone thinks I does, but I don't. So yeah, I said, well, you know what? If I start training like them,
Mhm.
then at least I'll, at a minimum, I will come out with a physique like them.
Okay.
And I started training, and then I was like, you know what? I think I want to go for it.
Mhm.
And I found out and became educated that you don't have to take performance enhancements to be a bodybuilder. There's a whole all natural.
And I heard you say that.
And there's a
all
large federation. It's not just like some PG rated to or secondary kind of thing. No, it's hard competition. And it's all natural. So once I found out, I said, well, I'm gonna start training like a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
Because best case scenario, I reach my goal and get my pro card.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, I got a great beach body and I'm in shape and I'm healthy.
And you're healthy, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And, and you're looking good, you're feeling good. And
right.
when you're looking, when you're healthy,
yep.
but also you are strong.
Yeah.
As a man, you walk differently.
You do.
You got a whole different swag.
You have a different swag. Yes, you do.
So I started that. I competed in 2 shows. The highest placing that I've gotten is 3rd. So, and it's fun. It allows, it brings structure encourages discipline.
Yeah, it does.
In
Yeah.
your life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about that. Okay, an apparel shop online. Is this yours?
Yes. So I have
Okay.
two.
Okay.
THTapparel.com.
And what does that stand for? THT.
Threading humanity together.
Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Just
Is
me.
that humanity you wanted? I mean, where does the name of it come from?
That apparel is all about there's two sides of it. It's a very unorthodox and eclectic approach to Southern urban fashion. So a lot of the shirts are showing a sense of pride or a sense of togetherness or a sense of strength. And I believe that clothes are a way to thread humanity together.
That's good.
It's much like
the
music.
Message. Okay. It's just not because you have this shirt on and you flexing your muscles. It's what's being said on the shirts, because I've looked at some of the shirts, a lot of them forgiven, and I mean, they have powerful message. So that's faith gear. Okay. So what does the message have on your other ones?
So THT is more so about, I would say, Southern pride, but a urban Southern.
But it doesn't have any, but you have writings on the shirts, right?
Yeah. Some is text based. Some designs have more, of actual, like one is for, I have Betty's Ford and I have a picture of an old car, and I like the whole vintage look. So it has a very distressed design on it, and the shirt that I put on. But what you're referring to is the
so that's your
faithgear.shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's inspiring faith and giving you a cool voice for speaking your faith and witnessing your faith. Yeah.
That's good. I like that. So how can our viewers purchase some of your shirts?
Oh, yeah. THTapparel.com or go to faithgear.shop.
Now, can they go to your social media pages and there's a link there that takes them back to?
Correct.
Okay. So go to his social media page.
You can go directly to the website.
Go directly to the website.
Go directly to the website, because the social media pages will just send you to the website. And the website is, again, Jason? THTapparel.com and faithgear.shop.
So he has two separate ones. Okay. All right. We're going to try to put that on our site after this interview, so you'll have all of those links, so you'll know how to get in contact with Jason Brown. The last thing, Jason, we talked about so much today. He's also a Kappa. He's a fraternity man too. What does that mean to you, being a fraternity man? What does that mean to you? Why did you decide to do that?
I was looking for brotherhood.
Okay.
I was looking for brotherhood. And
Kappa Alpha Psi,
most definitely. Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated is the best fraternity in the world. Also, those men, it's all about achievement in every field of human endeavor. So to be around brothers doing it and doing it big
and doing it well
and
with
doing
excellence,
it well
with
and
excellence.
doing it excellent. And a lot of preachers and pastors are Kappas, a lot of clergymen. I always tell people the best male gospel soloists are Kappas.
Are they? I gotta look that up.
Travis Green's a Kappa.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Marvin Sapp's a Kappa.
Oh, I didn't know Marvin Sapp was a Kappa.
Smokey Norfolk's a Kappa.
I didn't know that.
Lecrae the rapper's a Kappa.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Byron Cage is a Kappa.
I didn't know. A lot of the boys come from Michigan.
Rudy Currents. He's a great artist. Yeah.
I don't know him.
Oh man, his music is fire.
Good. Okay, I gotta look him up.
He's a Kappa.
Okay.
And then also, was it Pastor Jay? Oh gosh, his name just slips my mind. But he's real hot right now. He won a Dove Award and all that stuff.
Not Jenkins, not Charles
No,
Jenkins.
he's a younger guy.
Oh, from Maverick Group?
No, I know who you're thinking about. No, Pastor Mike. Is it Pastor?
Oh, big Pastor
Mike Jr.
Okay,
yeah.
He's big. Yeah.
He's a Kappa.
He's a Kappa. Okay, Kappas. Yeah. All righty.
So
Kappas are religious men.
The
brotherhood.
The networking.
Yeah. And how do they give? Okay, I want you to tell me this, because it's good, the networking amongst the brothers and all of that. But how do this organization help the younger brothers, pull the younger brothers up?
Sure. We have our Kappa League.
Mm-hmm.
We have our Botillion. We also, on a national level, are very active with St. Jude's.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of mentoring.
Okay.
I personally, through the Charlotte Alumni Chapter, we do a Dress for Success. Dress for Success. I come in, I show them how to tie bow ties, tie their own ties, how to dress, grooming, from the way you smell to the proper way to wear a suit, what suit colors. And I actually give away ties while I'm there too, so they can take home with them. I teach them about how to market themselves, how to speak properly, how to get your business cards done.
Is phenomenal.
Oh yeah. The Charlotte, especially the Charlotte Alumni Chapter, Kappa Alpha Psi, they're simply excellent. They do it every year. They raise scholarship money for scholarship.
Yeah.
So you have your Kappa League, you have your Botillion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and that Botillion, my son was a part of the Botillion, but not with Kappa, with a different one. But that Botillion, it was amazing experience for my son. Amazing experience.
And then I also was mentoring for a moment there, because I'm a member of 100 Black Men.
And I'm interviewing the president of 100 Black Men next month. Yeah, wow. At the conference. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I know. It is awesome. Yeah. That's great. That is
Mm-hmm.
so great. And it is so needed, because I tell you, Jason, when I see our young men walking around with their pants down and not knowing who they are, it bothers me. You know, it really bothers me. And we need that. We need to show our young boys the way.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because sometimes they don't have that image in their home,
lead by example,
right, or in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
They need someone in their lives. So that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Kudos to the
What you see is what you will be.
Yeah,
we say that.
Yes, it is, and it's major. It is. Yeah, it's major. Show them something different than the streets. Show them something different. Yeah, you can be this. Yeah. You can be a Jason Brown. You can. 3 things that you want us to take away from this conversation today, Jason.
Oh gosh.
That's most important as it relates to entrepreneurship.
Always be a student of your craft. Be consistent. And do what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. Do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
Be consistent. Yes. And know your craft extremely well.
Yeah, know the heck what you talk about.
Know your craft extremely well.
Inside out.
Inside out. Got to do your homework. Got to do your homework, guys. Well, thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jason
You're
Brown.
welcome. My pleasure.
Great conversation. I hope that you pulled a lot of nuggets away from this conversation. I did. It strengthened me, and hopefully it has strengthened you. If you're watching it live or if you're watching the replay, please get in contact with this young man if you have any real estate needs. Jason Brown Realty.
Jason, thecharlotteagent.com or Jason at thecharlotteagent.com.
Okay.
So thecharlotteagent.com.
Thecharlotteagent.com. Thecharlotteagent.com. He's on all social media platforms. Listen, this is his personal success. We want you to have your own personal success. So we need you to get up. We need you to get busy, get to work. This is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministries with the Brilliant Black Man Show. Interviewing today, Jason Brown of Jason Brown Realty, thecharlotteagent.com. Have a wild kind of day.
Thanks for tuning into The Brilliant Black Man Show with Melissa Walker Johnson on the TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information and to watch any of the past inspiring interviews of the BBM shows, you can follow the tour at The Brilliant Black Man Show on YouTube or WowMinistriesLLC.com. These successful men's stories are worth sharing with the world. Wow Ministries, inspiring the world with The Brilliant Black Man Show.